Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Sean's Horror Corner. As always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate everybody tuning in. And today, I am welcoming back Brendan from Our Life in Horror. Brendan, thank you so much for coming on again, my friend.
Of course, it's a happy day. We get to talk about Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, you're loving this franchise up. I know you're
Oh
enjoying
yeah,
this.
I
Yeah, and
am.
I'll say it's. I'm watching my opinion continue to change all over the place going through this, and we'll get more into that, down the road once we finish all this up. But yeah, I like this franchise much more than I thought I did. Um, but I think I'm having a hard time, and you and I talked about this a little bit last time, and we'll get into it again this time. As I'm watching like 2013, Evil Dead Rise, went to the theater, saw Evil Dead Burn. I'm finding myself liking Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness more, and
Oh, nice.
wishing that some of these movies were a little more like those in a way. So yeah, it's just awkward what's happening here as we're going through this. But yeah, we'll get into all that. Before we do, take a minute to go ahead and talk about your channel. Anything I know you and Sam just did a couple of lives here recently.
Mhm.
Talk about anything you might have coming up. If you've got any collectibles for this movie, feel free to show them. But the floor is yours.
Thank you. Of course, I'm Brendan from Our Life in Horror. I'm one half of Our Life in Horror. I also host a show with my partner Sam, my fiance, I should say. Um, let's see, we do lives, and a lot of lives, particularly. We have been on the back burner a bit just with things going on in life. We are expecting our first child in December, so that is setting us back. It is summertime, social obligations, things come up.
Yeah.
Um, so we've been busy. The live scheduling has just been random. So if you get notified, we will be on live for when you if you get notified for that time. But like lately, it's just been like, do you feel like going live? And it's been like, yeah, sure, okay, let's do it. And then 15 minutes later, we're live. So um, like I know Sam just watched Obsession for the first time, and we were discussing going live for that last weekend, but we just couldn't. The stars couldn't align for us to get that on there. We
Sure.
have received a screener for Pinocchio Unstrung,
Nice.
so we are going to be doing a just a standard video on that. We're not going to be doing a live on it, but
Okay.
a regular video will be coming out um, sometime within this week. We're busy for the next couple days, so it'll probably come out Friday or Saturday.
Okay.
Oh,
Nice.
collectibles.
Yeah,
I do have
absolutely.
collectibles. So this movie has zero collectibles yet, at least from what I've seen. You can order a replica book on Etsy for like $300, which
Oh
is way
wow.
too much money.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, if I win the lottery, I'll be getting it because it,
There you
it
go.
does look sweet. But until then, I do of course have my physical media collection. I have this movie on a standard Blu-ray
Okay.
with zero special
Nice.
features on it.
Still looks good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still pretty crisp. And then I did get the Evil Dead Rise limited edition steelbook
Very nice. Okay. Yeah, I
because
like that
this was the only way to get special features
one.
at the
Okay.
time.
Oh, that looks really cool though.
So you got the cheese grater. Yeah, there's only this design for this steelbook,
Okay.
but I definitely don't mind it. I like it
Yeah.
a lot better than the theatrical poster.
Right.
And then, of course, everybody was upset about this, but I had to get the Evil Dead Rise Arrow 4K
Okay.
because this comes loaded with special features.
Nice. Okay.
I believe it comes with a booklet and a poster as well. I believe just
Okay.
a single 4K disc, but this cover art was more than worth the buy, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, because that is so cool.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
have the reversible slipcover for the original poster art. I'm not changing it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Nice.
And then I have one more,
Okay.
which of course, like the rest of the franchise, I do have. Let's see if I can just pick it up. It's actually bigger than the rest of them, but I have the vinyl.
Oh, very cool. I was counting on that. I was like, Brendan's been, he's got all the vinyls for this franchise. He's going to have this one too. And yep, there it is.
Yep,
Very cool.
beautiful vinyl from Waxwork.
Absolutely.
Um,
That is pretty good size. That looks heavy.
Dude, it is. And then
Oh,
there are
wow.
book images in there as well. It actually has a couple pages. which is actually pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nice.
I'm not sure if there's 3 or just 2. There's just 2. But I believe so. They always come with these sleeves too, and these sleeves this time are all um like with the pages of the book as well.
Okay. Gotcha.
So there's
Very
another
nice.
one too, but I won't take that out. And of course, I do believe it is a stamped vinyl with a fancy little coloring system on it.
Oh yeah, that looks cool. What'd you pay for this one, if you don't mind me asking? Because this looks pretty fancy.
So I got this right off the website. I think
Okay.
I want to say it was like 35,
Oh
maybe
wow. Okay.
40, 45 US dollars.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
So it would have been like 60 something Canadian.
Okay.
But well worth it,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I definitely don't mind paying Waxwork for their releases because they're so like I love the stamp vinyl with the coloring. I think that
Yeah.
looks fantastic. And just a level of detail that they put into every release. Like pretty much all of my vinyl collection is from Waxwork.
Okay.
So and most of the time I find them at like conventions and stuff like that. So this was the first one I pre-ordered.
Gotcha.
It'll be the first one, and then I'm gonna be because Evil Dead Burn just came out, so I gotta get every possible set of that, just to complete my franchise collecting. They already have the vinyl up. The
Nice.
Steelbook is already up for pre-order. There's an Ultimate Edition physical media up for that as well. Dude, when this franchise comes out and it's just like take my money, you know what I mean?
I get it.
I want everything. So
No, I completely get it.
It's going to be
And
an
I'm
expensive
surprised. I guess in a way, I'm surprised. I mean, you would think you would at least get, like, take this movie for example. You would think you would at least get, like, a Funko Pop, like Mommy, a Funko Pop of her or something. Even if NECA is not going to do anything, I'm shocked that there's nothing really out there for this because. Like I saw, you can already pre-order an Obsession Funko Pop. We're talking about Sam just getting to see this before we started recording. You can already pre-order that. I can't believe there's not much out there when it comes to this. Anything out there, really.
I'm surprised you can't get Funkos.
I mean, I haven't seen them. Maybe they're there and I just haven't seen them.
You can get an Ellie. It looks
okay.
Okay. But that might just be it, because I don't see anybody else from this franchise.
Okay.
So I know me and Sam were talking about the Evil Dead franchise kind of going to, or we were just talking about like Spirit Halloween and Trick or Treat Studios,
right?
And kind of how their marketing stuff all comes out, because it seems like every time, Terrifier 2 came out, and then 2 years later we got Terrifier merch,
right?
Basically, so they need like a 2-year heads up on stuff in order to bring it in.
Okay.
So I think maybe depending on popularity, after 2 years, they might just not worry about it.
Maybe.
And licensing issues, of course, is another big thing. So it all depends on who wants to sell stuff.
Right. Just even the like the couple of places that I go around here and look at Funkos and NECA figures and stuff like that to try to see what else I might want or what I want next. Very seldom do I see. I've seen a couple of Ash figures. I've seen a couple of Ash Funko Pops, but I just don't see much Evil Dead stuff. And it just surprises me because I know how popular this franchise is. I don't know. I kind of expect more. Maybe they get it and it just sells super quick, and that's why I don't see it. I mean, maybe they do get some of it and it goes so fast, but I'm just surprised I don't see more.
No, I agree. And you know what? Like, I do think they should be making more prop replicas and stuff like that, especially with Trick or Treat Studios. Like, ever since Evil Dead Rise, and I know we'll get into it, but like, they just opened the door for like everything. So you could do 3 different Necronomicons, and you could sell them all at Trick or Treat Studios, all replicas, and like everybody would want a copy of at least one of them. I would buy all 3. Because I think they're that cool, and that's kind of how I wanted to set up the basement originally. But there is, like, I know Trick or Treat has an Evil Dead 2 book, and they have a Kandarian dagger prop replicas, but and the mask. Like, I got I do got the evil Ash mask. But other than that, there's nothing else. I think they did do a chainsaw a couple years ago,
Okay.
which wasn't too bad. But yeah, like for Evil Dead Rise and Burn, I don't know how much merchandise we're gonna see out of that one.
Yeah, it's fair. We'll see what happens. I guess I can see it more for Rise than Burn, but we'll talk about all that later. All right, well, let's jump in here and we'll get started with this tagline for this film: "Mommy loves you to death." A brief synopsis: a reunion between two estranged sisters gets cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. Film released April 21st of 2023, directed and written by Lee Cronin, distributed by Warner Brothers. 96-minute runtime, budget of between 15 and 19 million, box office of 147 million, so did incredibly well. I'll mention a couple of members from the cast: Lily Sullivan, Alyssa Sutherland, Morgan Davies, Gabrielle Eccles, Nell Fisher. I'll stop there. And Brendan, give me your thoughts on cast and characters.
I think the cast is really good. I mean, I don't have a problem with anybody acting. I think Alyssa Sutherland is clearly the standout in this movie, portraying one of the best Deadites
I
put
completely
to
agree.
screen. Like she is so fantastic.
Yeah.
I think Lily Sullivan is also great as Beth. I do like her kind of character arc with becoming, a mother figure and taking on those responsibilities.
Right.
Gabrielle, I think, is good too. Is Bridget. Nell Fisher, I think, steals the show as one of the kid actors, and kid
Yeah.
actors aren't usually the best ones in the movie, but I
Right.
think she's been fantastic. She was great
Yeah.
in Stranger Things as well after this.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't have any problems with any of the casting or their characters. I think everybody gets enough time.
Yeah, I agree. And you already mentioned it, and I feel like it's pretty much anybody that talks about this movie mentions Alyssa Sutherland. She stands out as being incredible. And I agree with you, probably one of the best Deadites that we've seen yet. But I think everybody's performance is solid. Is there, how much do you like these characters?
I mean, besides like Beth and Cassie, I mean, you get enough time to spend with them where you know
Right.
what they are. But I do think that besides like Beth, Ellie, and Cassie, like I'm not gonna say I dislike Bridget or what's the other kid's name?
The son.
Yeah.
What is his name? I've got
Danny?
it over here. I believe that is correct. Yes,
I got the cast sheet up here. You don't dislike them, but you definitely don't connect with them as much as the other characters. You connect with Cassie because she's a little girl stuck in a
Right.
really shitty situation.
Yeah, terrible. Yeah, you feel for her.
Beth you follow throughout the movies, so of course, and Ellie is just an incredibly interesting watch. So yeah, I think I understand where you're going with this, but I'm not going to say I disliked any of the characters. It's just a couple of them I definitely didn't feel connected to.
Yeah, and that's my only thing. It's so funny. You and I have done this enough that I sometimes feel like you already know what I'm going to say before I say it. But it's not a problem for me. I do like. I've talked about this before. I like having some characters in the movie somewhere along the way that I'm a fan of. I don't dislike any of these characters, and I agree. I don't know what else they could have done because I think we get enough time with all of them. I just don't really like any of them either. They're just kind of there as far as I'm concerned. Again, it doesn't really too much affect my overall thoughts on the film. Maybe Beth, you feel bad for the little girl, and maybe I like Beth a little bit. They're all fine. I just don't. Performance is great. I'm like, I wish there was a character here that I really liked and could get behind, and they're just all kind of okay as far as I'm concerned. But I don't know how they would have done it any differently because I do feel like we get a good amount of time with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just under some crazy ass circumstances, but I mean they're fine.
Yeah, I think and also the issue with that too is like you get 3 movies with Ash. You know what I
Right.
mean? You get
Yeah.
3 movies, you get a whole character arc throughout that trilogy. Whereas in this franchise and where it's been kind of going, you are basically in an episodic storyline right now where you're dealing with different characters
Right.
in different times, different situations, all dealing with Deadites. So bringing in new characters is hard to do in a franchise that's kind of like, we're just gonna get you to know them real quick, and then we're gonna let the Evil Dead carnage consume. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it made liking Ash a lot easier
Sure.
than what these new films have been doing. Unless, like, say, Evil Dead Wrath comes together and we get this all of a sudden this big team up between, Beth and Alice, and say even Jane Levy comes back as
Sure.
Mia. I think that would ultimately bring everybody together and be like, yeah, okay, these are some badass characters now
Yeah.
that we get to follow. But as of right now, it looks like everybody just wants to do their own thing, which
Yeah.
is fine too, because it's interesting in that sense. But the overlapping stories, every movie is going to be totally different from now on. It feels like,
Yeah.
which is fine with me because, um, although it's not fine at the same time because I do think that most of these movies do kind of have their issues now. Um, but yeah, we just don't have that singular character to follow.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And you know what's funny is because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. We were talking about the Evil Dead franchise, and I mentioned Ash. Now, this is obviously someone much younger, right? So they've never seen Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness, but they've seen Evil Dead 2013, they've
Mhm.
seen Rise, and now they've seen Burn. And so they're talking about these old Evil Dead, and I'm like, yeah, it's funny to hear me say this now because I would have never said it, a few months ago. But I'm like, I just love Ash. Like, I wish we would have gotten more Ash. And they're like, who is Ash? And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, you don't know Ash? And that's when I find out they've never seen these other movies. And I get it with the things that have happened and that kind of. I mean, I understand, but um, that's in some ways a little bit of a problem that I might still have with this franchise is so many of these other franchises are so classic because of their villains. You got Jason, you got Freddy, you got Michael, you got Leatherface, even though half those movies aren't any good. But you've got these villains that everybody knows.
Mhm.
And with Evil Dead, I feel like everybody should know Ash, but he was in the first three, and now we've gotten these movies that are pretty different for the most part. And I don't know. It bothers me a little bit. I mean, I wish we could have even got Jane Levy back in this one, maybe. Like, I would just like to have seen something, like if we could see Mia again or something. But, and we'll get into something as far as the production notes here in a few minutes. But again, a much bigger fan of this franchise than I used to be. But now there's some little things that bother me that before I didn't care about, and that's one of them. I wish we had one character that we could cling to, kind of like we do with Ash.
Yeah, no, I agree because like the trilogy at the beginning was all about Ash. Like that
Right,
was instead of like following Jason or Freddy, you're following Ash, right? And
right.
now the franchise has kind of lost that.
Yeah,
And I definitely think there is a way to bring that back. And I definitely thought Evil Dead Burn might have leaned into it, maybe not throughout the movie, but towards the end,
mhm,
which didn't happen.
right.
But now with like the next Evil Dead Wrath being set in 1973,
Yeah, they
where
can't.
where
What?
are we going?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Let me mention just a couple of things as far as. Well, no, let me stop there for a second. Your thoughts on cinematography, score, story. Let's cover that real quick before we move on.
Score's really good. I mean, I did buy it.
Right,
Uh,
I agree. Score's
the
good.
sound design for this movie is fantastic, especially if you are able to have a sound system and listen to this in Adobe Atmos. Super good, like shit's just whirling around everywhere.
Right.
Super well done there. Cinematography is great. I think Lee Cronin definitely knows how to make a movie. Um, Very cool shots. Like one of the big standout shots is, of course, what was in the heavily involved in the trailer, which is looking through the peephole.
Yeah,
Um,
great shot though.
yeah, excellent. So there's definitely no shy of camera work being really good in here. As well for story, it's simple and it's simple enough where it doesn't drag necessarily. I do think that the movie starts to fall apart towards the third act, even knowing after, watching it 6 or 7 times now since its release, I am getting more and more lenient on that third act.
Okay.
Um, and especially after watching Evil Dead Burn. Like, I know we're not talking about it, but after watching it here, like I watched it the day before we went and saw Evil Dead Burn, I'm like, I'm probably going to be a little bit more lenient on Evil Dead Rise's third act compared to what I might be on Evil Dead Burn. So,
Got it.
um, so yeah, I like for the longest time. I know when I walked out of this theater, the first time I watched it, I was so disappointed.
Really?
I was so disappointed with this movie.
Okay.
Like I was like, it was fine. Now the more I
Okay.
watch it, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm starting to get more into it. It's definitely probably towards the bottom for like a ranking,
Okay.
but I am definitely enjoying it more and more the more I watch it. So
Okay. Yep, that's fair, I think. And it's funny because I agree with you. I think the cinematography is really good. The score is fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot of pluses there. I also agree with you, and I made a note that I do feel like as we get into that third act, it does start to struggle a little bit. There are a few things, but I don't know. The first time this was the first Evil Dead movie that I saw in a theater. The other ones I had not seen in theater, so this is the first one I saw in a theater. And the first time I saw this and walked out, I was like, this is my favorite movie in the franchise. Like, I really liked this movie the first time I saw it. I went back and rewatched it then sometime later, and I'm like, okay, it's still good. Might still be. I kind of go back and forth with this and 2013 on which one I like better. I can't quite figure it out
okay.
sometimes. But yeah, I still think it's good. It's not quite as good as I initially thought, but it's still solid. There just are a few things here and there. Couple of things I wanted to mention as far as the production. So this movie was originally set to premiere streaming on HBO Max, but test screenings were so positive, Warner Brothers decided for a theatrical release. I think that's a huge plus that they did. So we're going to go back here a little bit. Fede Alvarez had announced that his 2013 Evil Dead movie was going to be getting a sequel. Sam Raimi had also announced that he was writing a sequel to Army of Darkness. The plan was then to eventually bring these two together and have a film that would feature both Ash and Mia. However, things kept getting held up, kind of dragging a little bit, not going quite the way they wanted it to go. Um, I believe what I saw was that uh, Sam Raimi's plan ended up, that's what turned into the Ash versus Evil Dead TV series rather than getting a sequel to the movie. Fede Alvarez ended up moving on and doing some other things. And so this just never came to pass. I wish it would have. What are your thoughts?
I agree, especially because I think Mia is definitely like out of the female characters that we follow like have fallen in this franchise, followed. Sorry, I don't know why. um, she, in my opinion, is the strongest so far that we've seen. So I think it would have been great to see her come back, and of course, it would have been fantastic to see Ash. I do remember all of these stories being flown around.
Yeah.
Jane Levy almost quit acting altogether, like after Don't Breathe,
Okay.
because of what a miserable experience of both. Because I think she did Evil Dead 2013, and then did
Don't.
Don't Breathe right
Right.
after, and they're just excruciating sets, right? So, um, she was almost done after that. Like, you don't see her very often anymore.
Right.
Um, so I can understand why the behind the scenes things just didn't end up taking off.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, I get it. I mean, I can see it as well. And I have never seen, I want to go back and watch it at some point now. I've never watched the Ash versus Evil Dead TV series. I do plan on trying to go back and check it out somewhere down the road. But yeah, there's just part of me that, especially now, I mean, back at this time, I probably wouldn't have cared that this didn't happen. But now that I've gone back and I do have so much more appreciation for those earlier Evil Dead movies, I'm like, damn, I wish this could have worked out. I really, really would like to have seen this.
Yeah, basically, like each season dives deeper into like Ash and his history and his past and stuff like that. So it really fleshes out his character more than the movies ever could.
Okay.
Um, there's a couple side characters in there that I know fans have grown to love. I prefer my Ash almost, the solo douchebag that we get
Yeah.
in the Army of Darkness, but you can't exactly sustain that for 3 seasons. So I understand why they did add them in and they did keep them around, and I would meet them in real life if I ever get the chance, of course.
Absolutely.
But I have not finished the series either myself.
Okay.
I'm about halfway through the third season, and I started the first season like a couple months ago,
Okay.
and I just put it down and never picked it back up.
What's it streaming on?
Stars.
Stars. Ah, okay. One of those
Yeah.
things that you pay for long enough to finish it and then you cancel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure you can get a DVD. Like I have all 3 seasons in a DVD box set, and
Okay.
I think I paid like I don't know $25 for it. Like, and that was like a few years ago. So
Right.
I'm sure you can get it for fairly cheap now.
Yeah.
Um,
That might be
if you
good.
want, I'm sure it might be. It almost might be cheaper than your Star subscription just to buy
Probably.
the set.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably the way I would rather do it anyway. All right, let's get into the plot, start walking through this one and break this movie down. We open up with three people out at this lakeside cabin. One of the girls, Jessica, she ends up becoming possessed while they're there. She ends up attacking another girl named Teresa. She like basically scalps her. She also ends up decapitating Caleb there in the water. And then we get that incredible title card scene where she levitates above the lake and we see Evil Dead Rise. Brendan, give me your thoughts on this opening.
I think it's fucking sweet, dude. I love it. I loved it in
Yeah.
theaters. Like it's such a great way. I love the design of um the cabin because it's such a unique design.
Right.
Just it being like a standard like triangle. Like
Yeah,
it's like I don't know if you watched that Hansel and Gretel movie that came out a few years ago.
I did.
I can't remember who did it, but that's just like the same design.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool and unique and interesting to look at. And the scalping's great. I love when Jessica is sitting on the bed reading Wuthering Heights, kind of like the homage we get to Cheryl with the cards
Right.
is great as well. And yeah, I like the introduction of new technology as well because you get like the flying thing, the drone. You get
Yes.
the drone in there, thrown in there,
Right.
which is fun. And of course, the best title card I think I have seen in my lifetime. I think,
Yeah, it's incredible.
to be honest, like there's, uh, like this title card gets you so pumped up,
Yeah.
and you're just at awe. I remember seeing it on the big screen, and I was like, my jaw was on the floor because I was like, there's no way this movie can be bad now. Like I
Right.
was so set on it being great after this moment. And
Yeah.
then for me, the movie just kind of like teetered out and then just leveled out after that for the whole thing.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? So this one, I told you this was the first one I saw at the theater, and up until this point, I had not really been that big a fan of Evil Dead. What made me decide to go see this one in the theater, because this came out shortly around the time frame that I had just become acquainted with you and Sam. Um, and so I kept listening to y'all talk about this title card and how amazing it was. And I'm like, maybe I need to go check this one out in the theater. I haven't seen an Evil Dead movie in the theater. I'll go give it a shot. I mean, it's a fucking title card. How special can it be? And I went and watched it, and I'm like, fuck, that was amazing. So yeah, you and Sam talking about it is why I went to the theater to see this. And yeah, right off the bat, I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. I want to see what's going to happen. It is incredible. I completely agree. All right, from there, we meet Beth. Beth finds out that she's pregnant. We also meet her sister Ellie. We just kind of get a lot of our introduction here to the kids. Danny, Bridget, Cassie. Beth ends up visiting. We find out that Ellie's husband has left. While they're all visiting and talking, we end up getting an earthquake that uncovers this chamber in the parking garage. Danny finds a bunch of like religious stuff. He also finds these artifacts, 3 records, book. He takes them all back to his room, hoping to be able to sell this stuff to make some money to help out his mom. But he is playing these records. We hear this priest talking about the 3 books of the dead. reciting these incantations and these demonic entities known as deadites. And then we start seeing this unseen force move towards the apartment, which I also really like because that's something that I never cared about before. And now, after rewatching Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, I love the those scenes where that unseen force is moving towards something in these movies. I just think it's incredible. So I was glad to see that happen in this one. And then, of course, we see it hit Ellie in the elevator. So give me your thoughts here, Brendan. We've got past the title card. We've met all these characters. Doesn't take long for shit to start happening. What were your thoughts here?
I think it's a pretty good introductory to the family and their sort of dynamic and kind of where their mindsets are all at. Like, you got Bridget, she's, an activist. She's going out to protest something. You got Ellie, who is a tattoo artist.
Right.
Danny is trying to become a DJ,
Yeah.
and Cassie is making Staffany, which was definitely like one of my biggest crack up jokes throughout this movie was Staffany, just because I just like that's such a kid thing to do.
It was funny.
So I really enjoyed that, and the family dinner thing. There's some tension, especially you can tell when she brings up the mug.
Right.
And then the sister dynamic. I do think it's maybe rolled over a little quickly, especially for them being distant sisters. Like they're not very like incredibly close, but of course they're close. They're sisters. It's like how I would act with my brother. Like we're not super close, but I mean, if we get together or if we're in a disagreement, I'm sure because we're distant that we're going to hold on to that probably a little bit longer than probably what they give in this movie.
Have you seen? I'm really not getting off track. I promise I'm going to bring it together. Have you seen Ready or Not 2?
Yep.
The sister dynamic there, because they're also estranged and they kind of argue, but they're also there for each other, and then they're arguing and then they help each other. Would you have liked to have seen? Because this movie's only 90 minutes long. Would you have liked to have seen, again, totally different circumstances, but more of that between these two sisters to kind of show us more of that relationship? Would you have liked to have seen them have some arguments about things and then maybe kind of, make it up? Would you like to have gotten more there or not necessarily?
I think I would have liked a little more of that.
Okay.
Because all we kind of get in this is like the groupie comments as like kind of like cheap shots. And yeah, there's just never a total clean resolve between the two of them, I guess. Which is fine. I guess there's not really resolved by the end for either of their characters.
Right.
But yeah, I think I would have liked a little bit of more of that dynamic. I think it definitely would have added to their relationship a little bit better.
I agree. I think so too. I think, and I've got a whole episode that just came out, a couple of days ago now when this drops, but on Ready or Not 2, there's too much of it in Ready or Not 2. It actually bothers me. I get sick of it. But I would like to have seen a little bit of it in this movie. It got old in Ready or Not 2 real quick, but I thought, a little bit of something like that would have been nice. I think it would have added to it, and it would have helped me even care a little more about the characters. Because I talked about that was something that I was struggling with. Giving us more of that would have helped, because again, it's only 90 minutes. You could have added another 5 to 10 minutes of just that kind of thing, and it helped overall.
I agree, and there's no deleted scenes, so this movie was shot pretty tight. And I agree. I think some added character dialogue would have been really helpful, especially in this beginning scenes. Just to flesh them out a tad more. So I definitely agree. And I agree with you on Ready or Not 2 as well, but that's a conversation for another day. I do like the vault. I like how it was kept in an old bank vault and it's sealed away for decades and nobody's been able to touch it until now. Henrietta's Pizza is where they get pizza from.
I did see that, yeah.
And yeah, I like that it's on vinyl, and you also get a quick if you're really listening, you can get a sound snippet of Bruce Campbell in there as well. So yeah, I like that aspect. I think the design of the book is actually pretty cool.
It does look cool.
I do like the teeth. and it's sort of in the same line of 2013, where it's just like there's no face on it, but it's like skin clearly stitched
Right.
together. But the teeth definitely give it like its own identity as to where 2013, other than being bound in the barbed wire, didn't have much of an identity compared to what this book has.
Right. Uh, Quick side note: does it bother you that this is the only movie thus far in the franchise that doesn't feature the car? Because I
I
heard
see.
Rob complaining
Oh
about
yeah.
that on Slasher Radio. I was wondering your thoughts.
It does tend to bother me,
Okay.
because they are staples. It's just like I remember hearing Bruce Campbell's when we were taught when he was promoting Evil Dead 2013, and he's like, there's certain things you need to have for an Evil Dead movie. It's like you need to have a chainsaw, you need to have the Book of the Dead, and you need to have something else, but like in that you have to have the fucking car, at
Yeah.
least in some sort of cameo way, you know what I
Right.
mean? So it didn't bother me too much, and especially since I've watched it so many times, I'm not looking
Yeah.
out for it anymore, so it doesn't really truly bother me as much as what true fans will. But
Yeah.
um yeah, it doesn't bother me as much as it bothered Rob.
Yeah, it really bothered Rob. I was cracking up listening to him on Slasher Radio talking about that, and he makes a good point. I mean, there's a parking garage. It could have
Yeah.
just been sitting there, so he had a good point. I just thought it was funny, but I remember when I was listening to him complain about it, I'm like, I've got to ask Brendan his thoughts because I want to know if he's as upset as Rob is or not.
No, I wasn't that upset. If anything, I would have been more like the thing that upset me, I guess, the most is not having their own which I guess we do get in the next film, but like their own Kandarian dagger, you know what I mean, like their
Yeah,
own style.
right.
It's that was the same thing with 2013. They left that out, which is something which is such a cool and unique design in the original trilogy that I think you could transfer it again and do something new and creative with it, and they just kind of dropped it up until Evil Dead Burnt.
Yeah, I agree. We cut back then. We get Ellie's attack in the elevator. Kind of a hint at some things happening there, but they don't really show it like what we've seen in other movies. The power ends up going out. Ellie returns to the apartment. We get a great scene here. I really liked the scene where she's cooking the eggs and begins
Hmm.
threatening the family. She also like crawls around. There's some vomiting, of course, because it's Evil Dead. Um, she does at one point then ask Beth not to let it take her babies, and then Ellie seems to die. A bunch of neighbors come around. They're trying to help find a way out of the building after the earthquake here. Ellie revives. We get the famous line, Mommy's with the maggots now, before she ends up attacking Beth and then attacks Bridget. She also attacks the neighbors out in the hallway before Beth ends up locking her out. Um, and then just kind of watching Ellie attack people through the people. Give me your thoughts here on Ellie now that she's a Deadite. She's doing her thing. Again, we get a couple of you know, very talked about scenes. What are your thoughts on this section of the movie?
How ballsy would it have been if Lee Cronin made that tree scene with the elevator
With the
wires?
elevator, I know.
How, like, man, I get it. There's an interview with him, and he's like, you know what? I couldn't replicate the original. I couldn't outdo 2013, so I was like, I'm not gonna show it here.
Yeah,
But I'm like, dude, you could have done some fucked up shit there.
you could have.
Um, you want to talk about a great sound design scene? Is that scene is
Yeah,
just really well done. Um, so I think that's excellent. I do, like you, enjoy the egg cracking scene. I think it's great. I love the pilot light is basically lighting up her face.
right.
Um,
Looks
what
very good.
she's yeah, what she's saying is really good. Her acting is fantastic. I also like Lee Cronin does this a lot, and it's like an old school style of filmmaking that you. Oh, did I just lose power? Oh, am I good?
Yeah, yep, you're good. Cut for just a second, but
Oh,
yeah, you're saying Lee Cronin
oh,
does this a lot.
okay. Lee Cronin does this a lot, where it's an old school style of like film editing, where you have things happening in the background, but you're still focused on a character's face here and their reaction. So you're getting both
Yeah,
reactions, but technically one of them should be fuzzy because you can't focus in on two things at once. So it's
right.
almost a little disorientating, but it works so well in this movie, and it happens a lot in this movie. It also happens a lot in Lee Cronin's The Mummy. Um,
Yeah,
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I mean, the amount of vomit that comes out of her is pure Evil Dead. Um,
Yeah,
there's no questions there. Um, she dies, and then yeah, she kind of comes back to life with the fly going on her eye and stuff like that is pretty
yeah,
gross.
it is gross.
It's just unsettling to anybody, I would think. The
Yeah,
bathtub, I love the bathtub,
that
dude.
is a great scene.
And everybody hates mommies with the maggots now. I love that line. I don't care. I love it. I think it's great. It
Yeah,
definitely
it's
gave me a good chuckle. You know,
yeah,
it's gnarly. When she gets up on the ceiling after that and does her like zombie yell or deadite yell is great,
right.
and just how she's like positioned is awkward.
Yeah,
Um, and then we move to like this is like the thing that I really like. This is like that evil deadite sister dynamic, is where Ellie is approaching Beth, and she's like, gives her like the fake out,
yeah,
and she's like, that's such a like brother sister thing to do, and then she goes in with the knife, like just
right.
the fake out, like that's what I would do to my brother personally,
Yeah,
but so I like that, and then I think the tattoo is there as well. She kind of gets Bethany with the
yeah,
tattoo scratching. So this is
right.
kind of where it's like it's introduced that this is more of like a viral blood virus transmission because she
Yeah,
scratches it on herself and then she tattoos Bethany or Bridget's cheek,
Bridget. Yeah,
which is great. And then yeah, they were able to get her out in the hallway. I like how she's shrouded in a lot of darkness throughout this scene because I think it adds a lot of impending doom and dread to what could
yeah.
potentially happen to this family.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, I think at this point in the movie, I was still really enjoying everything. I like the mommies with the maggots now line as well. I think it's funny. Uh, it's a good line. It cracks me up still. So I'm with you pretty much on everything here. I think this looks good.
Oh,
Uh,
sorry.
yeah,
The
no, good.
the you titty sucking fucking you. What is it? You titty sucking fucking parasites or whatever she says.
Yes,
Boy,
another
did
great
I.
line.
Me and Sam were like the only two that cracked up in the theater. It was so awkward.
It is pretty good though. I liked it as well, and I had forgot about that line until I watched this the other day for us to do this. But um, Danny ends up telling Beth about the books and the records and what's going on there. Ellie at the same time is able to trick Cassie into letting her back in before she attacks Cassie. We get Beth and Danny coming in to save her. They are able to lock Ellie back out in the hallway again. Bridget with the whole the tattoo thing that you were talking about. That wound starts to grow and looks really gross. She becomes possessed. She's eating glass. She attacks Beth. We get the cheese grater scene before Cassie steps up and is able to impale Bridget with a broom handle, and then Cassie seems to die. So, for a while we were getting Ellie and her attacks. We still got a little bit of it here, but now we've kind of switched to a Deadite Bridget. What were your thoughts on the Deadite Bridget?
I still like Bridget. Deadite Bridget. I think she's good. I definitely like her line delivery. We we'll touch on it when I guess Danny becomes one because I want to know your opinion on it. But
Okay.
um, I think the glass going down her throat looks excellent.
It
Her
does.
spewing up the maggots and stuff is always gross, of course. Um, the cheese grater. We'll discuss the cheese grater.
Yes.
So when this was shown in the trailer, boy, did I have expectations.
Yeah,
And boy, those expectations were not met.
I agree. I
Um, I
completely agree.
I was definitely expecting a couple swipes, not just one.
Yeah.
Um, I've definitely become more lenient on it now because we got the glass thing was really good. Um, and then Bridget, Cassie stabbing her through the mouth with Stephanie, I liked as
Yeah.
well. So I've become more lenient on that as well, even though I did like their whole promotional material was this. If
Yes.
you saw the early screenings of this movie, you got a little fucking cheese grater,
That's
you
what I
know?
heard. Yeah.
So like I was really expecting to lean on to that like a lot heavier, and unfortunately we just didn't get it.
Yeah,
Um
and I'll tell you, I know you said that you've gotten a little more lenient. It still bothers me. That's one
yeah.
thing that still bothers me. I wanted more from the cheese grater. And I've seen this movie 3 times now, and every time I watch it, I'm like, I wanted more. I
Uh,
really wanted more.
Maybe by the time you hit 6 or 7, it'll start getting more
It'll
lenient
be all
because
right.
yeah, it's gone more lenient on me. It did bug me the first few times as well.
Okay, fair. Um, yeah, we have Beth. Then she's listening to that third record. She's trying to figure out what they need to do to stop these deadites. We see Ellie is now crawling through the vents. Bridget revives and attacks Danny. Uh, Beth is learning while this is going on that you have to dismember the deadite. Bridget stabs Danny, but at the same time, he's able to set her on fire. And then Ellie attacks Beth. Danny ends up dying. Ellie starts to looks like rip the baby out of Beth before she ends up getting stabbed with these scissors. Um, what your thoughts here now on Danny Deadite? Um, I don't know why, but here's where I thought everything had been so great with Ellie and with Bridget. I was a little underwhelmed with the Danny stuff. I don't know. This particular set of scenes I just talked about, I don't think are as great. It's fine, but I felt like here's maybe where I started to, just for a moment, somewhat zone out. I just don't think this particular section of the movie is good as what I've been seeing. What are your thoughts?
Okay, because I'm still with the movie at this point.
Okay.
I do think Beth or Bridget coming back and attacking is really good. Like I like how they drape her in she's in the
Mhm.
comforter, and when she moves,
Right.
she's like floating. She's not walking. She's like
Right.
rolling through the scenes. So I really like that aspect, and I think his attacks are pretty brutal. Like he gets stabbed a good handful of times, and you get to see him go a little ballistic on his sister. So I did enjoy it still.
Okay.
We're not quite at the Deadite Danny yet because it's Deadite Danny is so quick
Yeah,
in
that's
this
true.
movie
Yeah, I think that's
that
why I mentioned it here. It is so quick. Yeah, you're right. Because all I've talked about so far is him dying, not coming back. So yeah, you're correct.
yeah, but that's good. I think Ellie running through the uh, vent systems is really great, and especially with her like creeping down into the room and just kind of hovering around in the background until Beth can notice her in the window is great. That attack sequence is also really good. I love the scissors up the nose.
Yeah, that's a great shot.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Cool practical effects on that. Very well done. And it like just stuns her for enough time for our characters to get out, get a gun, and start heading towards the elevator.
Right. Which is where we'll go next. So, as Beth and Cassie end up fleeing into the hallway, um, all these bodies that are out there, they start to become possessed. They're hiding in the elevator, as you mentioned. Blood is pouring into the elevator. And we get Ellie, Bridget, and Danny kind of merging into one creature that I didn't hear what it was called in the film. I'm sure they said it when I was looking through some other stuff. I saw that it's called the Marauder, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but they merge into this one creature. The elevator, it goes up, or sorry, it goes down. The doors end up opening and blood is pouring out. It washes Beth and Cassie out. We're out into the parking lot here. Uh, they try to flee into this car, but this marauder thing ends up attacking Cassie. At one point, head almost gets cut off with a chainsaw, but Beth is able to save her. So we've got all of this going on here in the parking garage now. Give me your thoughts on the elevator, this marauder creature, and then getting into the parking garage.
Well, the elevator is a good sequence. I mean, it is just a pure homage to The Shining, of course, which is fine.
Yeah,
The Marauder, and I guess I'll bring up my point. I was going to ask you.
sure.
So Ellie's got these weird kind of, they're not blue, but you know how they're kind of highlighted, Evil Dead, dead-eyed eyes.
Yes.
Bridget has eyes more towards Evil Dead 2013,
Okay.
where they're more reddish orange.
Right.
And then Danny has the classic white eyes
Yes.
from the original trilogy. And there's been a lot of debate up for that as well with the new film coming out. Which version do you like? Because I do like the homage of having all variants in this
Yeah.
movie rather than just kind of having it all set to one style. So I do like the variety of the eyes that we get. But what's your opinion?
I don't mind it. Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's fine having the variety because of some of the things that I talked about at the beginning here of how I feel about the earlier films in this franchise compared to these. I think I enjoy Danny having those wide eyes more because it just reminds me, of like the older. Um, Again, it's kind of cool that we get all three. I don't have a problem with it necessarily, but uh, I think I got more enjoyment out of like seeing Danny and seeing his eyes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Evil Dead. Like that feels like Evil Dead. If
Okay.
that makes sense, what I'm trying to say.
Do you find that having, because this is like the big debate online, right? Is like,
Right.
do you find them having no pupils scarier than having them with pupils? Because a lot of people say having them have pupils actually makes them scarier.
See, I think no pupils is scarier. I
Okay.
don't know why. I think no pupils is scarier. Because it just looks so odd to me. I don't know. There's just something about it that's just so odd looking. So I do like the look of no pupils better. What about you?
I'm kind of in the mix.
Okay.
I really am, because I like each style. Um, I really like Ellie's eyes in this movie.
Sure.
For her as a Deadite. But then again, I do love the traditional, just clean white eyes.
Yeah.
Um, but I do think the new eyes that they're kind of doing definitely make them pop a little bit more on screen, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Um,
I get that.
but I do like the traditional white eyes a lot. I'm not going to say one scares me more than the other, because I don't see, like, if one scared me more, it'd probably be the most unnatural one, which would be the white eyes.
Yeah.
That would freak me out
I
the
agree.
most.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, having them look more human doesn't exactly scare me more. I'd actually
Right.
be
I
more
agree.
scared if they were less human,
Yeah. I
So
completely agree.
that's where I sit on that. And the Marauder we'll get to, because this is like my biggest issue with this movie.
Mine too. So go ahead.
Tends to be the Marauder.
Yeah.
And I want to say I'm more lenient on it. I truly do. I don't think it's as bad as what what I initially set out when I first watched this movie. I still don't like it. It doesn't make sense for a creature to be so mangled up that it's almost it doesn't look like it should functionally work
Right.
as a creature. That especially that would be something that you're supposed to be terrified of, because like
Right.
it's not going to move any faster. Now it's juggling seven different limbs.
Yeah.
It's going to be slower. It's going to be bulkier now. I almost, like, if you wanted to do something, I almost just wish they did a Hydra thing, and like the mom and her two kids are just up, have like three different heads or whatever. Like, I'm not saying I would have liked that more. I'm just giving an
Yeah.
example. If you wanted to mend
Sure.
them together,
Right.
it just, I don't know. It just seems like such an easy boss fight to me. Um, like an example I have for something along these lines is The Evil Within, the video game series. I don't know if you ever played that,
I have not.
but it's a horror game where you face off against one of the creatures is a spider-like woman, where
Okay.
she's got multiple limbs, but her limbs make sense.
Okay.
These limbs, in my opinion, don't make any sense. With
Okay.
how they sit, how they look. It just looks like they were like, let's just throw them together and it'll look good. Whereas in the creature in the Evil Within, it makes sense as a creature.
Okay.
Like, it looks like it can function on its own.
Right.
Where this one, it looks like it just can't. So
Yeah.
if you haven't seen gameplay of it, I highly recommend checking that game out. It's really good. It's old now, but it was pretty terrifying at the time.
Okay. My problem with it is this, and I know a lot of people disagree. This is just one of those opinions that I have that I realize is not a very popular opinion. But I think one of the issues that I have sometimes with horror movies is I don't think they know how to end. We try to get so big and extravagant with things at the end that we end up hurting things that we've already done. And two of my best examples of this, and again, I know a lot of people love this movie. I just don't. The Demi Moore film, help me out, that just came out a
The
couple years
Substance.
ago. The Substance. Thank you. not a terrible movie. It's way too damn long. I don't really like that film, and part of it is what she becomes at the end is just so crazy to me that it almost ruins everything that's been happening. Like I'm
Hmm.
just like, this is so over the top. This is ridiculous, and it somewhat ruins everything else that I had seen. Another one that I think is a perfect example is Smile Two. I really enjoyed Smile Two until the very end. I liked the idea of what they were doing, where now this whole concert is seeing this happen. So there's all kinds of people that are going to get infected. I didn't need that fucking creature for that to happen. Like she could have just killed herself. Everybody sees it, and we know what she's been through. It's been, in my opinion, a very entertaining movie, and now we know what can happen. And then we added this weird ass creature for some huge big ending, and it just didn't need it. And I hated the ending of Smile too. This somewhat does that same thing for me. I've enjoyed the Deadites. I've enjoyed Ellie. I've enjoyed Bridget. I like what's going on. And then we combine into this Marauder thing that's so awkward. And I mean, yeah, if I saw it, it would scare me, but I feel like I could get away from it pretty easily as well. I mean, it's just, I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Why did we have to have this big, huge fucking final boss moment with this creature? It was not necessary. And I've never seen any of the other Deadites do this in the rest of the franchise that I've watched. Like, why did we need this? And so this really, really bothers me.
Well, it seems like each book has its own spell that it's trying to complete with the Deadites, right? So
Sure.
this is kind of where I'll give it that where in Evil Dead 2013 it's trying to create the abomination, which we get at the end.
Fair.
In the Evil Dead 2, we get the big entity at the end that comes in the door. I can't remember what it's called, but
That's fair as well.
there is that. And Evil Dead Burn also has something along those lines at the end, although a lot simpler than what we get in here. But
Yeah.
each spell seems to be kind of trying to do its own thing. Um, so yeah, there is a goal in mind when it comes to these deadites, but it's very vague.
Yeah.
The book,
Yeah.
the
I'm
Go
with
ahead.
you. I get what you're saying, and yeah, there are some things that we do see, like you mentioned, with the second one with 2013. But I just don't feel like it was as over the top as this is,
No,
and
no,
something
definitely.
about this just it was too much over the top. I think is
Hmm.
why it bothered me, and I found myself sitting there every time I've watched this film. I'm enjoying it, finding things I like, maybe some things that bother me, but for the most part, finding things I like. And then we get to this, and I'm just like, okay, I can turn this movie off now. I don't need to watch the rest of it. So,
I agree, and I do also think it's a Lee Cronin thing because I think the Mummy is the same way.
yeah,
I think the Mummy does not know when to end its fucking movie.
right.
Um, Sam hasn't seen it yet, so I think we're actually going back and rewatching it. I'm going to be rewatching it this weekend with her,
Yeah.
just because she hasn't checked it out yet. But that movie at an hour 50 or something like that, it easily could have been an hour and a half, and it would have been a way better movie. So
Yeah.
I do think it's a bit of a Lee Cronin issue when it comes to his writing.
Okay. I just, to me, we were talking earlier about if we could have got more of that sister dynamic stuff, that kind of thing going on. I would have liked another 10 minutes of that, and then less of this. And you still could
Mhm.
have had your 90-minute runtime. And in my opinion, overall, it would have been much better. But again, this whole Marauder thing just really bothers me. As I said, uh, you know, Beth and Cassie kind of have moments there where they end up saving each other. Beth isn't able to use the chainsaw to force the Marauder into this wood chipper, and then Beth and Cassie are able to leave the building together. We then do get a scene the next morning of Jessica from the beginning of the film as she's heading to the parking lot to go on vacation, and she gets attacked by this unseen force. Give me your thoughts on this finale, Brendan.
It's not bad. I know. See, Rob was saying different things on his channel, saying that the color of the chainsaw was an homage to the car not being in the movie. I thought it was a homage to Texas Chainsaw Massacre this whole time because I think
Oh,
they're the same colored chainsaw from what I
okay.
remember. So I don't know any of either of those for a fact.
Right.
So if he said it, I'm sure he did a lot more research into what I'm saying. So he is probably true. I like the chainsaw being brought back, of course. The wood chipper's really well done and well utilized as well. Beth does get her, epic come get some scene,
Yeah.
which I really like. And then yeah, they get to kind of walk out. She takes a chainsaw and walks out in the sunset. And of course, Jessica gets the demon in her, and then she heads off to the cottage where
Yes.
those kids were so destined to fucking fail. Like they didn't the thing this movie leaves the book in the apartment building.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I know.
I didn't even
And
think
it
about that.
so far it hasn't been touched on yet. So I'm curious to know where this franchise is leading, especially with that book being there. We don't know where the other two books are.
Right.
Um, so I'm curious to know where it could go. But I think it's it's a book ending movie. I do like that. So yeah, I think it's an okay finish. Like I do have to say I like 95% of this movie, with the Marauder thing kind of being like
Okay.
the least amount of things I like.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm with you. The ending is not bad. I do like that we get Jessica back so we can kind of see what led to what would happen out there at the cottage. The Marauder thing just frustrated me so much that it really does hurt this movie a little bit, in my opinion. But again, I didn't mind the actual finish here. Anything else you want to say about this one before we decide to give it a ranking?
Yes, we didn't talk about looking through the peephole
Oh,
at
we did
all.
not. Yeah, we skipped that altogether, and I had it written down. We just got over it somehow. Yeah,
What
let's talk about it.
her acting through that peephole is so well done. It's why it was heavily used in the trailer because the mommy's all right now,
Yeah,
got nothing a big old hug and kiss won't fix. While she's all bloodied up and just looking terrifying.
right.
So I'm like, it works. Her acting is so good. It's incredible. Like she took inspiration apparently from Jim Carrey for this
I heard that.
performance,
Yeah,
which is pretty impressive. And I think she does do a really good job at like over exaggerating her facial features.
yeah,
Nowhere compared to the great Jim Carrey,
sure.
but she definitely does try her best.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. It is a great scene. I can't believe we completely, or I completely missed over that because I had notes on it there. But yeah, again, it's her acting here because we already talked about it. I think that she's incredible in this movie, and this is just such a huge part of it. It's very creepy. She does a fantastic job. It's a great scene that definitely stands out. Um, yeah, and overall, I think this is good. You mentioned earlier that you like probably, I think you said 95% of this movie until the end. Um, I'm not quite that high on it, but I do like most of this movie, up with just a few exceptions here and there until the end of it as well. But I agree, the people seems fantastic. On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you give Evil Dead Rise?
This is gonna be tough. This is gonna be tough because like I know what I would like to rate it because all of these movies are really good in my opinion. Like I
Okay.
can nitpick them if I really want to, but in my opinion, I definitely think that this isn't like a total letdown for the franchise. So what do I have? I have the first one at 9.1. I have the second one at 9.5. I think I did 9.9 for Army of Darkness because that's like my favorite. And I did 9.3 for Evil Dead 2013. So, with that being said, and it being kind of around the lower tier, s- see, I'd rather watch this than I'd rather watch the original.
Really?
Yeah, because like when I go back and I start my franchise, I'll probably always start at two and go
Okay.
from there. Not saying that I dislike, it's just something about the quality kind of, I got to psych myself up for it a little bit more.
Okay.
Oh, because all these movies for me are like within points of each other because I do really enjoy them quite a bit. So I think I'm gonna give Evil Dead Rise a fuck. Fuck. Man. Man, this is tough. I'll give it a 9.2.
Okay.
It's definitely not like my least favorite. I definitely do think it is pretty rewatchable as well. From like a just listening to the different sounds every time, or following the camera work every time, or just there's just a lot of different aspects you could really sit and focus on this movie, and I think you get something different out of every time you watched it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've watched this movie 7 times. So this is like my most rewatched movie of the 2020s so far. I
Okay.
haven't went back and rewatched any other movie as much as I went back and rewatched this one. So I'm gonna give it a high score just on that account,
Okay.
because other than that, I think like Nope is a really great movie, but I've only ever watched it once outside of theaters.
Yeah.
So like
Okay.
and yeah.
This one is tough to score, and the reason I say that is because, as I've said, yeah, I love Army of Darkness. I really enjoy the first Evil Dead. I did not like the second one as of the time that you and I reviewed it. I've watched it again since then and like it much more.
Oh.
So I'm going to have to change my score on it before we do our episode where we rank all of these. This movie is probably it is my favorite of the newer three movies, but I don't know that I like it better than any of the first three. Um, it's good. It's really good. But knowing some of the scores that I've given the other ones, I can't go too high. And that fucking Marauder just almost ruins this movie for me. It frustrates me so much. Um, I'm still going to give it a 7. I'm going to give Evil
Okay.
Dead Rise a 7 because I do like it. I really enjoy the movie. It's just got some things that bother me, primarily the Marauder thing. And again, it's funny because 2 months ago, if somebody would have asked me my favorite Evil Dead movie, I would have told you Evil Dead Rise. Now that I've gone back through these, um, I never thought I would say this, but I like that original trilogy so much that I just can't score this one any higher than any of those. So 7 for me on the 1 to 10 scale. It's so funny. You've got all of these in the nines. Like you're down to the point twos, the point threes, the point
I am.
fives. Yeah, this is tough for you. I can see
Dude,
it.
I know it is. It's hard because like this is such a near and dear franchise. Like every one of them, I'm like every time one comes out, this is like the most exciting thing for me every year. And
Yeah.
like I'm already like getting ready to pre-order a bunch of stuff. Even for like the new one, and I have thoughts about the new one. I do, and
I
like
can't wait because I'm so
um
curious.
they're not great thoughts either. Really, I almost feel the same way walking out of Evil Dead Rise as I did with Evil Dead Burn.
Okay.
So, um, but I'm still gonna fucking buy all their shit, dude. Like I am.
I understand.
I
No, I
am,
get it. I get it.
just
No,
because it's my
that's
franchise. No,
yeah,
it's hard to go wrong.
that's so funny. I do get it. I've got some that I'm like that as well. All right, so that will wrap up Evil Dead Rise. Brendan is going to be back very soon, and we're going to talk Evil Dead Burn. But before we get off here and wrap this one up, go ahead again, take a minute, Brendan, talk about your channel and what you and Sam may have coming.
Thank you so much, Sean. So yeah, I am one half of Our Life in Horror. My fiance and I do this. We are on YouTube, we and Instagram. We do lives every now and then. Life has just been busy at the moment, but we will get back into it. Hopefully, Friday or Saturday there should be a Pinocchio Unstrung pre-recorded video dropping,
Nice.
which we were supposed to watch tonight, but we did not have time. So it'll be pushed to closer to the weekend.
Okay. Yes, definitely go check it out. And they did have a couple lives come out recently, so go back and watch those. I think at the time that you guys had those two lives come out, I happened to be, I was busy both times, but as soon as I had a free minute, I went back and watched them, and yeah, it was great seeing you two back at it. So I was glad to see y'all back up there, and definitely looking forward to what you've got coming. So say it every time. Anybody that's familiar with my channel already knows Our Life in Horror, I'm sure. But I've picked up a couple more new subscribers lately. So if you're not, then definitely go check out Our Life in Horror. Subscribe to them and follow along. Always great stuff there. Let me see what I have coming up. So next episode will be with Brendan doing Evil Dead Burn. And then next week, I've got A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Aaron from A&B Horror and I will be talking about that one. Sarah and Kelly from the Final Girls podcast will be back, and we'll be talking Final Destination 2. And then Robbie and Kaylee from, their crazy stuff with Robbie. They're going to be back, and we'll be talking about Halloween Resurrection. So that horror couple. It'll be so much fun. Yeah, fun episodes next week. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Final Destination 2, and Halloween Resurrection. So be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything. I also have a couple more lives coming very soon. The guys from Horror 365, Jimmy and Swift, as well as Cece from Cece's Horror, are going to be on with me here in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be doing a live talking about the first Leprechaun movie. And then Brendan will be back, and Sam if she wants to, and we'll do the whole Evil Dead franchise live. So, a lot of stuff coming up. So subscribe, like, share, comment. Let Brendan and I know what you think about Evil Dead Rise. Follow me on social media. I'm pretty much on everything out there. Just search Sean's Horror Corner, and you can find it. Brendan, thank you again for coming on. This has been a blast as always. Everyone, thank you for watching. I will see you soon.